I've got this awkward spot with like the light coming in from the window. Let me try and fix this.
Oh, that made it better.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
As you just like blind us.
Try and rotate it the other way. There we go. Because I had this like little bar of light that was just like every time I moved it, just, like, blasting me in the face. And we're talking about Castle Nyalotha for those that are listening. So, Castle N'Zoth.
Rathia, obviously.
Right?
Yeah.
Wrath the Donnie. So.
The sex demon is the limit calls him, dude.
So as you said, Anima raining down, I could think of that GIF where you're just like raining down around you.
Please give me the Anima.
So what all the people that don't have the add-on because they don't want to do add-ons, like those weird people that don't do add-ons, they can now have it along with everybody else. All right, good morning Twitch and good morning YouTube if you're watching this later. Welcome to the Morning Wood. Appreciate y'all waking up some morning wood today. We got a banger of a show for you. I'm going to use that term now because that's apparently the Twitch meta. And we have a special guest for you. So we'll roll right on quick and let her introduce herself for you guys.
Okay. Well, my online name is HealtoDeath, but my name is Kat. And yeah, I'm part of the Might community. And I know these guys through Guild and online.
All right.
She says part of, like she didn't literally fucking build it.
Well, you know, it is, with other people built it.
Yeah, she's like, I'm part of it, as in the foundation, cornerstone, as in the grand master of it, but a large part.
No. Just a tiny piece, but yes.
All right, and then we got the normal characters you see every week. We got Hakkd, we got Mr. Merlock, we got Mr. Moose off painting a house, so we got his avatar kind of filling in for it, and then myself. All right, and we will roll right on into it with some Mythic Plus. So we were going to rename this category Mythic Plus with Mr. Moose, but you can't talk today, so I'm going to handle that for this.
Yeah.
We got the Week 8 rotation here coming up. It's going to be Tyrannical, Bolstering, and Necrotic. So Ty Week, of course, bosses stacked up in that health. Not really going to be much of a push week, especially because the other fixes, Bolstering, when any non-boss enemy dies, its death cry empowers nearby allies, increasing their maximum health and damage by 20%. So that's going to be, you do that big pull, they don't die at the same time, you turn that one little ad into a raid boss in the middle of this dungeon. And then Necrotic, I believe, since like with BFA, Necrotic sucks. That's been a term that's been passed around. I think we've got a clip out there where all enemies' melee attacks apply a stacking blight that inflicts damage over time, reduces healing. So with that, some tanks it's kind of negated. Like now with a lot of tanks running, is it Kyrian has the potion that kind of wipes that out? So
it's definitely not negated, but it makes it slightly easier. So sometimes intentionally they'll just let their stacks get really high and then they can just clear them.
Right, so the combination with that and Bolstering and Tyrannical, you guys aren't pushing keys this week?
I have mixed feelings about Bolstering. I think it's kind of fun because it just like makes the DPS like just AoE as much as you can, where sometimes you have to stop, you know? You have to stop DPS or you have to like focus target or whatever. But with this, it's just like kill everything at once, go crazy with AoE, and it makes it move faster.
Well, I mean, like, if they would, though. I mean,
the plan's there. Executing it's different.
The problem with a lot of, like, BFA dungeons, BFA and Shadowland dungeons, is that they have a lot of mobs with different health pools. So, pull a big pack together and you can't just AoE. Definitely got to switch around and single target one down and catch them up a lot.
True. And it does prevent chain pulling, right? So that slows you down.
Right. So Necrotic, does that drop off when the pats are dead? Like when that ad set's dead?
It does now, I believe. It didn't used to, and it also was changed in Shadowlands, so direct heals will get rid of a stack.
That's
Is
Grievous.
That's Grievous. Never mind, I mix those two up all the time. I lied.
All right, and just for chat, so she has KSM, so her information is going to be valid and on point because she pushes high keys.
And wrong, apparently. So it's okay.
So speaking of KSM, Hakkd, now you got your computer back. Like, is this going to be a week where you try and knock some of those off, or is this a week you're like, I'll wait till next week?
I'll probably wait till the next week. I think this is the worst week in the pool. This week sucks.
Oh man,
Because Tyrannical already sucks. You basically have Tyrannical and Fortified. It's just shitty. Like,
that's a good way to put it, yeah. You're buffing the mobs
it's
as
just
well as
slow and it's not fun.
Right. This is kind of like, well, I guess the only worst part would be bursting. Like, bursting Necrotic is kind of a awkward combo because it's just going to crush the tank, right?
Bursting's very easily controlled, though. Like if especially if you have people on comms, you can really control bursting, and you can just stop, and then kind of continue on. Yeah.
So I guess
I don't really have an issue with bursting.
How many fixes are there right now? Like total, like 10 roughly. Let's just say, like not counting Tie and Fortified. Is there 10?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds right. I think there might be 5 for both the +4 and +7 slot. That sounds about right. Look it up.
Yeah, well, there's 6 for the 4. Okay, so there's 12. So
There's 12.
I guess if you guys had to rank these, like top worst, like top 3 worst, like
Grievous, number 1.
Grievous number 1. Even
As a healer.
Even with the change, it's the worst.
Well, as a resto druid, it still sucks, honestly. As I haven't gotten to do it to heal it on the Holy Paladin, but I would imagine on the Holy Paladin it's a lot easier.
All right, so what do you think, Hakkd? These top 3, top 5, like for worst?
One of the worst. I don't know. I don't think it's really that difficult, but I just don't like it. It's Spiteful and Storming.
Storming, yeah. Those are in the
Storming
same tier,
sucks.
aren't they?
Yes.
They are, okay.
No, level 7 is Storming.
So you can have both?
You can have. I don't know if that lines up for it to be both.
Storming is only with Inspiring and
Here's the-
Bolstering, so they don't pair up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I guess, Merlock, most of the keys you run is with Hunter, right? So
Yeah.
these anything you even worry about, or I guess not much in the key side of things, or
Not really. But whenever I run any kind of mythic, I just do what people tell me to do. So
all right, so there you go. If you're looking for somebody that can listen and react, that's Merlock. He's your guy if you're running some keys. So
I can't believe no one said Sanguine as like an annoying one.
Yeah, I don't mind Sanguine. I think Bolstering is probably my least favorite fix.
Fair enough.
see, playing Druid, like we were talking about this last week. Druid's like the anti-meta. So like with Sanguine and Typhoon, like we're
Are you talking about Resto Druid or Druids?
Druids in general, like anytime like it's a Sanguine fight, I go with Balance Affinity, or I make sure I have Typhoon so I can knock it out. So
Yeah, and then with Spiteful, the Mass Root, like there's like Druids kind of have something for almost. They're really, especially if it's a balanced Druid, right? They have something for every affix almost.
yeah,
Because they can even help with Grievous.
Yeah, Druids are solid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I like about playing Ret on Grievous weeks, actually, is just being able to throw in little off heals just to
That's
help
true. Yeah, that's really helpful.
eat some stacks.
I I've got this awkward spot with like the light coming in from the window. Let me try and fix this.
Oh, that made it better.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
As you just like blind us.
Try and rotate it the other way. There we go. Because I had this like little bar of light that was just like every time I moved it, just, like, blasting me in the face. All right, good deal. So the Valor cap this week, it's gonna go up to 9,500. I don't know if anybody's pushing that. I guess Heels, you'd probably be the closest one to pushing the Valor cap, if anything, right?
Yeah, I haven't hit it, but yeah, it's kind of, it's interesting that they did that, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I'm having a hard time hitting the cap, and I run a lot of Mythics, so not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
but I've heard people complaining about it, so.
Oh man, really?
No, people don't do that. What?
People don't complain about things.
No way.
All right, and something I want to touch on here. This, I believe it's coming to 9.1, or it's hypothetical. The Raider IO, Blizzard's gonna copy it and make their own like in-game IO.
Mm-hmm.
So pull the article up here from Raider IO about it. So I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on this? I guess we'll go to you there, Hakkd, first. I guess, what are your thoughts on Blizzard's IO score?
So they have talked before about how they were probably not going to do that. They were happy leaving that third party. I think literally the reason they're doing it is because of the Valor system. I think that is the only reason they're doing it. They're going to give you an in-game score so that they can tie the upgrades to the in-game score with the Valor upgrades.
So you think they're going to do more than just like the 5, 10, 15? They're gonna
Yeah, they're going to cut the 5, 10, 15, and they're going to use the in-game score. And hopefully it's a little bit more broken up than that.
Okay.
So you can just kind of progress your reward system.
So you're thinking something like the PvP score, where you hit like 1,400 in points. Now you can upgrade 1,600, doing a point system like that.
I mean, also just like the Raider IO score, like just in game and tied to in-game mechanics. I feel like there's no reason for them to put it in with how well Raider IO already does it. There's no reason for them to put it in unless they're going to tie it to an in-game system.
And I guess, what are your thoughts here on this, Heels, since you got the higher score?
So I think it's really interesting that Blizzard's, like, when Hakkd brought it up, so that makes sense, like connected to your gear and upgrades. I think it's really interesting because Raider IO, not somebody that is participated in this, but you can kind of judge people by their IO score, right? Kind of, we'll pick and choose based off of their score. And if you notice, like, Blizzard still doesn't put a DPS meter in game. And there's a reason for that, right? They don't want you discriminating against people's actual damage and such. So the fact that they're going to bring in something to kind of judge people's gameplay with a number is interesting. But it seems like something they're really against. But with what Hakkd just brought up, it makes sense if it's gear related. That's
the only thing that makes sense, because they were totally cool with Raider IO just handling that.
Right.
So if there's any hate, if there's any flack about it, it's not on them. It's on Raider IO. They're doing it. It's third party. Plus, Raider IO is still going to be around because they're still going to do things that Blizzard's not going to put in the game. They've still got other shit going on. Important to their system.
Why do you think they want to move to actually like a number system instead of what they're doing now, which is like all 10s, all 15s? Like, do you think there's just more value? Like, you can ease up a bit with an actual number score?
If you were talking to me, I'd just cut out really bad.
So right now they kind of have that, right? Like, you have to complete all 10s or you have to complete all 15s. I wonder what the benefit is of going to an actual total score. I guess that way you can have like an 18 done and then a 12 done in other categories.
Yeah, you could have an 18 and a 9 and a 15, whatever, and that'll get you to X level of score. I just I don't know if that would be the case, but I see that being the only benefit.
Right.
I see no other benefit for putting it in game.
So, I've watched so many videos this week, it's ridiculous. There was a couple, like, kind of, I guess, concepts or kind of method to the madness. So, before, there wasn't a gear score in the game, item level score. It was an add-on, and then once it became so prevalent, it was, well, if this much of the community is using it, let's just put it in the game. So then this, like, 20% of the people that don't have the add-on, because they don't want to do add-ons, like those weird people that don't do add-ons, they can now have it along with everybody else. And then the other side of it, where people are, well, don't put it in there because I don't need something for somebody to criticize me about. That's not how games work. People are going to find something to criticize you or something to make the meta about or something to basically rank people by. So, like, there's going to be real no way to get away from that. So kind of just accept it, and there'll be some way to judge people.
Well, and I think so. Having like a third party do it is completely different than the company themselves doing it. And I think, again, along with what Hakkd was saying, they kind of have, there's got to be a reason that Blizzard benefits from it. So with the item level, it actually helped players determine whether or not the gear was an upgrade for themselves as well. You know, how many times did like a piece drop and you're like, you're checking the stats, you know, but if it's 15 levels item level upgrade, it doesn't matter what the stats are, it's going to be better. So I think that helped the players just ease players to, you know, figure out their gear without it being too complicated.
Okay, so if we try and relate that to this, is there something that would help players on having an IO score? Like, would there be a beneficial for the, like, let's just put the non-add-on people. What would be a benefit to them to see an IO score? Would there be one?
So kind of what Hakkd, I just keep agreeing with Hakkd, but he's got a good point. So it's kind of like with Arena. If you're just trying to get a goal for a certain score in order to upgrade your gear, instead of the complex, hey, I need this specific key at this specific level, and then I need to time it. You know, if instead you're like, oh, this is the key I have, it'll help my score go up, and then I can upgrade my gear. It kind of makes it less that you're trying to pinpoint the perfect key, the perfect group in order to upgrade your gear.
Okay. And then I guess what would your thoughts be? Because it kind of has a feel of, what was it? Challenge modes? Was that WoD or was that Panda? Which
both, right?
Both. Yeah, I think.
So does it kind of feel like we're going that direction where now they can put in like transmogs of like everybody gets their 15s, they get it, or like maybe a Mythic version of Gladiator, top 4% get this sick armor set? Like,
I mean, yeah, that would be something really cool that they could do. Yeah, that would be an upside, because it opens up the opportunity for them to do that.
And I guess
just based on score.
Would that be something you guys would like to see? Like, even with me not ever going to get to that top 5% or whatever the Glad equivalent would be, I support those guys that do this craziness to get sweet 6 sets like that. Like, how do you guys feel on that end?
Sweet 6 sets.
Yep,
sweet
every word I can think of went in there.
Sweet 6 sets. Say that fucking 5 times fast.
I've always, even like you, Lynkz, even though I'm never one of these people, I think there's something really cool with being able to identify yourself visually as one of the top players. You know, and in Classic, that was a big deal. Like, you'd see people in Ironforge with their armor and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that guy just looks awesome, you know? And you'd realize, okay, this is what he did to complete that. That's crazy. So I think awarding those players in some way so that they can show that is, I like that. I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. Where do we sit on Blizzard getting in the realm of IO score?
Depends how they do it
as well. I mean,
yeah,
because no matter if they put it in the game or not, it's still going to be in the game regardless. So that's why they put I mean, it's one of the reasons, but it's like, even if they never put item level in the game, gear score would still be here. We would still be using gear score. So, it's going to keep getting used. You might as well put it in the game because there's a benefit to it for in-game use now with the Valor.
Also, I wouldn't mind not having to update my Raider IO client all the time to reflect people's IO score. So if it's already implemented in game, it's going to be a more like fluid upgrade, which would be nice.
Yeah, true.
Fair. And I guess, Merlock, to put this to you, I guess if they start putting, let's say, mounts, pets into this side of thing, is it going to encourage you to push more into this world if you get those extra benefits?
Yeah, I think the pets alone would probably drive me to do it. Although I kind of wait right now. I don't really run a lot of mythics as it is right now, so I kind of wait for people to send me their duplicate pets. There are some pets that already drop in the mythic stuff that should push me to do that. So,
well, there you go, Blizzard. So if you want to bring over the pet battle world, throw those pets in there. You'll get that group of people crossing over into this other side of WoW. All right, and then so I looked up some more information on the Great Push event. So, congrats to Blizzard's marketing team coming up with a great idea for a name.
So bad. Such a bad name. Oh my gosh.
So, there was kind of two sides I saw from people talking about this event on just different podcasts and different things out there. It was one, somebody was talking about how low the prize pool is for this, but it was kind of explained on the views that the MDI pull in. Like, that's how streaming kind of works. The more views, the more people pay, sponsors, that stuff. So the MDI doesn't get too many views, especially for the circuit, because people will watch like the first couple, see like the crazy pulls they do, and then it kind of just falls off. This one's going to be, I guess, more kind of to the common man, I guess, is that the term, of like how other people actually do dungeons, because they aren't going to be doing these crazy, weird, gimmicky pulls. They're probably going to pull like a pack at a time, trying to push up, because it's not a time thing, it's a completion thing. So this may draw in more people that are kind of like how we play the game, as opposed to these crazy weird pulls. It'll be one pack at a time, trying to push higher up. I guess, what are your thoughts here on this tournament here, Hakkd? Is it something you think they'll keep doing, or is it going to be a one-off, kind of one and done?
I think the plan is like, hey, it's a one-off, and if people really enjoy it, we'll try to set it up again. Because I'm still curious, it would have to be a timed thing, right? Like, because you still got to time the key that you push, you would assume.
So I don't even know if it's time or completion, but it's like over a weekend. Like, here's the dates.
Yeah, but like why would you compete? Why would you have a competition where like you're trying to complete the highest key and you allow it to time out? Like, okay. I would assume that it would be the highest timed key they complete.
Yeah, and then are they offering any type of, like, here, you can try it out, so here's any key at any level, or they have to work up to those keys? Because if they have to work up to those keys, they have to time them, so they can't even practice their...
Right.
So it's going to be on the tournament realm, and they're going to have 2 keystone combinations to push. So I don't think it's going to flip over, because in tournament realms, you can go, like, these affixes, these keys.
Okay.
And, like, program your own keystone. So
why that's not in game, I don't know. Sorry, that's another.
No,
I'm so bad about that.
That's a good point, because I had that in my notes too. Like, do you think they should have that as an option? Not the change the affix, but
100%.
This is the
affix. Now you don't have to get gear from it, but you should be able to practice any dungeon at any level. I do not see why that's not a thing in game. I think it's silly. And
we can all buy some fucking +10 TOPs and have a proper Might MDI
Yeah. No, but it just doesn't make any sense. You know, the randomness of the keys that you get, and that part's fine. Like, you know, I don't mind that. But then the inability to go into a dungeon and practice it at any level is just, it's so weird to me. Like, why not? Like, just don't let gear drop from it. You should be able to practice it. I don't see what would be the negative effect from that.
See, so I kind of got deep in my head on this. You can go into, like, Castle Nathria, and you can pick which difficulty you do. Normal, Heroic, Mythic. Outside the world, you can go to the dungeon. You can pick Normal, Heroic, Mythic. Why wouldn't they allow you to pick your difficulty at least? Like, let's say I have the Mist of Tyr or whatever. Why not allow me to go there and pick what difficulty? Like, give me a little bit of flexibility. Like, maybe I can't pick the dungeon because my keystone's set to that dungeon, but let me pick the difficulty up to, like, the one right above the max, and kind of like a Diablo type thing, where
I'd rather pick the dungeon.
Pick the dungeon, but have it at a certain level. Like, your keystone's of 15. You go pick any dungeon, you can do a 15.
I like the randomness of it. I think it works well, and I think it prevents, in a little bit, not a lot, but it prevents people from selling runs as much. You know, because if you're looking for a specific dungeon at a specific level, you can literally be like, you know, pay me this amount of gold, let's go, we'll just do it real quick. And I think the randomness also extends the playtime of most players, because you're kind of looking for this perfect key, and it might take you an extra week, or you finally get it and it's on the wrong week with the fixes. So it kind of keeps players playing. So I get that. But yeah, being able to practice it, I think, should be in game. It's just silly.
I also think sometimes it helps more people get pulled in, because, like, now you're not bringing me as a player, you're bringing my key. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. So, I guess seeing that side of it makes a little more sense too. Like, because, like, what's the easy one missed every week if you just ran that every week on the 15 just to check your box and be done?
Yeah.
All right. I guess anything else in the Mythic Plus topics you guys want to cover?
No, I just, like, Drew brought up a good point there. Thunder Fury, he was just saying, then you have people that have no business running 15s, like, going into 15s as well, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, would you want me in your 15 just showing up? I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. If we talked about how you can follow directions and you're there just to listen and basically do damage, so you're checking some of the boxes.
I can do damage. I just don't know if I can do damage on a Mythic 15 damage level.
All right, good deal. All right, so we'll wrap up Mythic Pluses, and then we're going to roll into World Bosses and cover those real quick. So this week we got Valinor up. That's going to be in the northwest side of Bastion. The 3 classes you want to get out there if you play these is going to be Elemental Shaman, Holy Priest, and Rep Paladin. Holy Priest, kind of that one-off gimmicky one, so maybe not so much, but Elemental Shaman, it's going to be Wind Speaker's Lava Resurgence. It's your BIS, need this, it's just going to be your bread and butter. For Rep Paladin, it's going to be Final Verdict, and I think you can touch on this. This is going to be your top single target thing, right?
Yeah, best in slot now for sure.
And that's PvP and PvE?
Yes. Dude, I was doing some arena yesterday, and I hit somebody for over a 20,000 Final Verdict. Because after these buffs, this thing just hits like a truck.
Right. I saw a gimmicky video where, like, this is the one shot. Like, you queue up something, gives you mastery, you pop your Divine Toll, and then you hit this, and somebody just falls over.
Yeah, you queue up some of your Holy Power so that you can spend it on Seraphim. So you use your Wings plus Seraphim, and then you Divine Toll, Final Reckoning, boom, hit them with a big verdict. If they're not dead, you Wake of Ashes, boom, another big verdict. And if they're not dead, it means they, like, popped an immunity or something.
So there you go. The skill cap, play Rep Paladin, really bad. So, but if you can figure out how to play Ret Paladin, get out there, kill this world boss. Again, Elemental Shaman, Ret Paladin, Holy Priest. The latter one, maybe not so much. All right, and then so I wanted to cover these new Covenant Legos that are coming out. So, spoiler alert, and I guess we'll put this out there. So most of this video is going to have 9.1 spoilers, not lore spoilers. It's going to be like content, like items and stuff. So if you want to know what happens to people in the game, cartoon character stuff, like, you don't have to worry, we're not going to go deep in that. So we're going to talk about like items and that side of WoW. But have you guys taken a second to look at some of these new like Covenant specific Legos that are coming out? They've only got about 4 different classes they talked about. I guess, Hakkd, have you looked into any of these yet?
Yeah, I've looked at a couple of them, and I really hope they just scrap this completely, because this is a stupid idea.
So I guess that's let's elaborate a little bit more. Like,
Covenant Legendaries is a huge fucking mistake.
So
as
wait,
if Covenants already weren't hard enough to balance, and as if people weren't already fed up enough with doing Torghast and making more Legendaries already. Like, fuck this
so I
shit.
don't know much
This
about
sucks.
it. Is each Covenant, like, so if I'm playing my Druid, will each different Covenant have a different Legendary, or is it you can now access a Covenant Legendary, which is the same for Kyrian, Night Fae, blah, blah, blah?
so we'll talk about Druid here to kind of cover that for you. So there's gonna be a Lego for Night Fae that's gonna change how Convoke works
So it's specific to the Covenant.
to that Covenant,
Yeah.
and it impacts that Covenant ability.
So what you're saying is that people might have to switch Covenant.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's gonna be so crazy convoluted where it's like, oh, if you take this legendary with this covenant, and this is gonna be your best setup, but your best single target setup is actually gonna be this, this covenant because of the
No.
covenant legendary, and it's like it's gonna get fucking stupid. It's a terrible idea. It's already not balanced. Like, don't putting too many things in. And this is when it always
Oh, so
gets
you're gonna
weird.
have to pick that hard line of like, do I want to be good single target because I have to do this, or I gotta flip covenants and do this to be AOE? Like, it's gonna be, that's where you're.
I
on the
mean,
other
not
side.
necessarily. That's not like the cut and dry, but you also don't know. It's going to be on a spec by spec basis of like, oh, this spec is good now because of its Covenant legendary. If you go Venthyr, the spec's going to be insane now. Like, as
So
opposed
I'm
to
okay with like the idea that maybe some legendaries get unlocked, like if you hit Renown 60 or something, right? But it'll be the same legendaries for all the Covenants. Like they're just adding more legendaries, and you can access them in different ways. Like that I'm okay with, but them to change, like depending on what Covenant you're in, I think like it's like it's just
Well, I
a
think it would
nightmare.
be cool because I think it would be cool if you could make like your headpiece, and that's like your Covenant legendary. So anytime you switch specs, or if you decide to switch Covenants, it changes with it.
I
You
like
know,
that.
That's
so
cool.
so that at least keeps, it's one slot, it's one piece of gear. You don't have to fucking, because that's the thing. Like, what if I decide that I want to go fucking Night Fae over Kyrian, whatever? So now I have to craft another legendary and level that up, and then what if I decide, oh, I don't fucking like Night Fae, go back to Kyrian, so I have this dead legendary sitting in my bags that I'm never gonna use again.
Right. I like that concept. I hope they would implement it that way. If this is your Covenant Lego, depending on what Covenant you are, it does X, Y, Z.
Right.
Okay, because the Convoke one, like, I kind of like what this one's doing. Like, so if this stays, it's going to change your Convoke. Instead of 2 minutes, it's going to drop down to 1 minute. Instead of doing the 4 seconds, or 8 seconds, it's going to come down to 4 seconds. So, shorter cooldown, shorter duration, and a higher chance to use, like, Full Moon is what we're looking for out of there, right? I don't know what everybody else is looking for in it, but... So, that's going to line up better with your 3-minute cooldown, because instead of doing the 2 and 3, this 1-minute cooldown is going to come back around more often. So it makes Convoke a little more functionable. Like, even though Convoke's just a mess in general.
It's interesting. I don't know. So I don't know exactly how things have changed, but like let's take the Boomkin, right? A lot of info was pointing to Kyrian being the best for Boomkin with Kindred Spirit. It requires a little bit, like, I think, like a specific group to really get the best value out of it. But technically that was the best Covenant ability. And a lot of people ended up switching to Night Fae because Convoke is just so valuable. Like, it's a really big spell, right? And then for them to buff it that much more, like, this just seems like they're creating a balancing nightmare for them in the future. I don't know.
Well, and also, when you think of, like, Kyrian is already pretty good for Boomy. Now, the Kyrian legendary is when you empower your bond, you and your partner's benefits are increased by 50%. So it's like fucking huge. It's just a straight up 50% buff to the Kyrian.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I don't know, like, trying to even think about like they're trying to balance now, and then trying to balance. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah. So now on which end are you going to balance? Are you going to balance at the baseline, or are you just going to balance through the legendaries?
100%.
Because either way, like, I don't know, you're putting too many things into it, and it's going to get messy.
Well, and it feels very much like Battle for Azeroth. Like, when you had all these corruptions and you just became, like, they're just making us more and more and more powerful, which I understand. But, like, it's so far away from our character as a baseline. You know, like, we don't, like, druids don't have Convoke. You know how weird it's going to feel to not have Convoke anymore after this expansion? Then we're buffing Convoke.
Power.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like Battle for Azeroth. It's like, you get these new things, and then at the end of expansion, like, they just created more work for themselves again, like Blizzard, where now you have to do something to every class to kind of bring back what you gave us. It sounds messy. I'm glad I'm not part of that team, but, you know, do what I can.
And Drew in chat's got a good comment too. Like, they'll probably just turn it into a talent. Like, Convoke's going to be a druid thing. Now it's going to be a final talent row.
But what about the people who were Kyrian that had Kindred Spirits? So is that going to be a talent row? Like, you get to pick now? And then what about the Fourth Covenant that those like 2% of druids had, where they were Venthyr?
So
they just don't get that option.
One just won't have the talent. It'll be the other
just
three as a row, and that will just not be there. So
that's true. And like he did say as well, like, Glimmer is now a talent for the Paladin, whereas before, right, that was what was it? Not corruption.
I mean, the Azerite power.
Azerite power. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so some of
that's the thing,
powers that took off.
They're only going to do it with the ones that get, like, widely accepted and used throughout the expansion, because there's 4 abilities, you know, for each class in the game. They're not all going to stick around for the whatever the next expansion is, you know.
Well, and that's the thing.
They're all not going to make it.
Most of them don't have that 4th one. Like, what spec are people going to that 4th Covenant? Like, it's kind of.
It's the people that want to be the the top 5% for that Covenant and class.
Yeah.
It's that Night Fae Paladin, okay?
Night Fae Paladin, let's go.
Leave that guy alone. It is interesting. Do you think they'll ever introduce a new row for your talents? Like, it seems like we've stuck with I don't know, how many is there? Like 6, 8, maybe? Do you think they'll actually add another row?
I feel like they have to at some point.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're trying to stay away from that for as long as they can.
Right, fair. So, because we didn't get, like, the final row this expansion, because all the other expansions, it's kind of been like max level. Here's your max level.
We didn't get it for, like, it's been a while.
We haven't gotten another row for a long time.
Okay, so this is more borrowed power is your last row. Like that's going to be your weird talent based on like your Azurite necklace is your weird talent, or your Covenant ability is kind of your next talent choice, kind of in place of that.
I mean, that's what they've been doing, but I'm hoping that if they do this, they add an actual extra bar for a talent. And and again, what Drew said, the level squish definitely has messed with like the talent, right? Because you get one at level whatever, 10 and then 15. So every time we do a level squish, we still have the same amount because the cap is always that last bar.
All right, good deal. Anything else in these new Legos you want to talk about? Hakkd's not for it. I kind of like gimmicky stuff.
Scrap the whole thing. Scrap it all. It's a terrible idea.
Throw it on. I guess. Merlock, where do you weigh in on these? Like, I guess, are you running like just one Lego? I guess have you been farming Torghast for different ones?
I'm just running one Legendary, and I agree with Hakkd. I think this is stupid, but I think a lot of the stuff that they're doing with Covenants is stupid. So I'm just not a big fan of the whole Covenant system in general.
So I think it would be interesting, like if they're trying to keep adding on to Legendaries and they're trying to make people still have value out of running Torghast. It would be interesting if they added a Legendary that kind of you had to get if you were raiding. Like maybe this Legendary does what you want, but it gives you a kind of like with N'Zoth, maybe you had to have the cloak, otherwise you would be mind controlled. You know?
Right.
Like something that would make it so, oh, with this, you can do the last boss in raid. Like, because, or like maybe you equip it onto your Legendary, like as a, this will protect you from the Jailer's Eye, or I don't, you know what I mean? Like something to add on, but to completely switch all this balance.
I feel like that would be something cool as like an unlock for the second Legendary. Because that's going to happen at some point, right? They're going to allow us to wear 2 at some point.
Is that confirmed? Like, are they actually...
No, it's not confirmed, but they'd be stupid not to. It's like the absolute pinnacle of content when you're, you know, when you've got systems like these with the Legendaries, where everything's stupid OP, like, they're going to let you wear 2, because it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
See, there was some kind of hopes and prayers or hypothetical of this Covenant Lego being your second one. So some people were theory crafting. I don't think they're going to do that yet, though. They won't do that at least till 9.2. Maybe. But... All right, so 2023, potentially we can wear 2.
2023, get out of here. Oh my gosh. Ugh.
All right, so I guess we're talking about how the farming of these like Legos is kind of a pain too. Let's jump into the Torghast update. So they're changing how Torghast is gonna go, and everyone loves Torghast, right? Like it's the new version of Islands. Like it's basically, we loved Islands back in BFA. We loved Warfronts. This is basically what Torghast is now, right? So it's where everybody wants to be when you're not raiding. Do you guys see the changes that are coming here with this new like score system? I guess go with you there, Heels. You haven't looked at any of this or seen?
I haven't.
This, so
tell me more. Yeah, tell me.
All right. Well, I guess Hakkd, did you see anything about this, or we'll see if anybody?
Yeah, I think it's a leaderboard thing. Good. I think it's just an incentive to do it.
So the kind of like the TLDR of this is instead of going through and having to complete your Torghast to get Ash, like if you go in there and you get just a scuff animas and you somehow can't complete it, it's going to give you a score system somehow based on how many bosses you kill or how many ads you kill in there. So like if you go in there and can't finish, you'll still come out with some Ash. So it's not a all-out win or loss. So I don't know how they're going to scale it, because right now 8s are ridiculous. You go and just knock them out. But it's going to give you Ash no matter what. And then I don't know if they're going to raise the threshold. It's all kind of like theory crafting in general. But they're also going to add achievements based on like there's some kind of game that they copied. I can't think of the name, but that has this like feel. I guess, do you guys know what they kind of mimic Torghast off of?
I heard that it was mimicked off of Final Fantasy XIV. There's something similar in Final Fantasy XIV. But I don't really know because I'm not at that point in Final Fantasy XIV yet.
What, like Torghast as a whole?
Yeah, there's
Torghast
some
is
game.
supposed to be modeled after like roguelikes.
That's it. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah, but that's like a style of game, is the roguelikes. So games like, fuck.
So like you just keep progressing and you get more powerful as you progress, kind of a deal, but it becomes more challenging. Is that style that you're talking about?
Yeah, kind of this like odd infinite dungeon crawler.
Okay.
You just scale your character weird. Because...
Yeah, well, and the point of that game, which is, so what Torghast should be, is endless. It should not have, especially 6 floors. That's because you're just turning it into a chore. If I want to go in there and I want to push as high as I can, I'm going to keep doing it because it's fun and I've got this build set up and going that I want to try out. I want to take it further. I'm on floor 50. I want to see if I can get to 51, shit like that. So the fact that it's 6 floors, you never get buffed up enough. By the time you get some kind of build going, you kill the last boss, you're done, it's over. Cool. So,
Or
it's
at
just a
least
chore.
make it so the corridors you could do back to back and keep your, like, there's a benefit to that, right? Like you can keep your
Right.
abilities, because I really hate it. Like I'll run one and I'm like, oh, these are such great combinations of abilities I got, and then I have to start the next corridor and I get like nothing good. Like, what is this? Like, I already put all this time into it. You should let me.
Yeah. Well, I think it should maybe not even be endless, whatever, but base Torghast should at least be 18 floors. But you get your soul ash from that, so you can get your cap soul, or half of your soul ash from doing 6 floors. You get the rest of your soul ash from getting floor 12 done. Or, then if you decide, hey, I'm going to go to floor 18 because I'm having fun,
Yeah.
and like I've got this build going, so if you go that extra 6 floors to the end, it's because you want to and like you're enjoying yourself. Or you still have 2 wings, make them both 18 floors. Say you only want to do 6 floors of each. Do that, I think that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, and didn't they initially say that? Like when Torghast was announced, they mentioned it as this never-ending challenge, right? And it was for the player who just wanted to keep pushing. That's what I remember when they first announced it. Like it was going to be never-ending.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to that idea.
The twisting corridor is going to be ending, or never ending.
Yeah.
Then the regular wings, I think they were capped, but they had a smaller cap. It was like they were 18 floors. Twisting corridor was endless. You could climb up and up.
Yeah.
Well, people enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It would be one of the greatest things put into WoW in, since the Mage Tower. So why would you fuck with it? Like, people loved it, and now people hate it. I mean...
Especially since it wasn't just an idea. Like, it sounded like people were actually already testing it, right? Like, it was in beta, and people were like, this is cool. And then for them to stop it, like, just to cap it, like, it was already done. It's not like they had to put more work into designing it. It was completed. So that's really bizarre.
Right.
Yeah, I think... Go ahead.
So right now the only benefit of it is Ash, right? There's no other reason to do it besides like your 150 floor mount. The only thing you get out of it is Ash, right?
Initially the story too,
Legendaries.
Oh,
if you
well,
care.
Pretty lore people that want to see what
Cartoon
everyone's doing.
characters.
Yes.
Cartoon
There are
characters.
pets in, there are pets in each wing of Torghast.
Oh, there are.
Oh,
Like
I
right
didn't.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's pets in it.
It's not a guaranteed drop. Is it from the end boss, or how does this even work?
It's the final boss. The final boss at the end drops a pet. There's different ones that you can get inside Torghast, yeah.
You probably have some Lynkz and you didn't even realize you looted them, honestly.
Probably. Like, I guess that was the thing, huh? So each one has one, or...
Yeah, I believe so.
Like unique to that corridor?
Severs, and there's another, like a maw crawler pet, and a frenzied maw rat, and a couple of other ones that you can get in there.
Oh yeah, and Drew brings up a really good point. A legendary will drop at a certain corridor for you, so you have to wait. That's another weird thing. Like you have to wait for that corridor to open in order to get that legendary, which sometimes causes like a delay in your character getting its legendary for like 4 weeks, which is a weird thing to stop people from doing.
That was an awkward thing too. It's not a set rotation.
Weird.
So you don't have to wait 3 weeks like the world bosses. You have to wait randomly. Like, is this the week?
Yeah. So what I don't, I think this has been brought up before, but sure, okay, like have those corridors for those legendaries, but then maybe have like the twisting corridors, like every 6 floors or whatever could drop one of those legendaries as well, so that way you could at least attempt to farm your legendary without that corridor being open. Because that's such a bizarre like hold on people.
Right, that would make sense, as if every 6, it's some random order, but at least if you get 6, you've touched every one.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I guess that goes back to Hack's point on the Legos having too much say over what you do. Because then you have to do these stupid gimmicky things to get that Lego, and sometimes you can't even just go get it. Like, you're time-gated. Like,
that wasn't even... Yeah. That is one point of it, yeah.
Yeah, because that's not...
I don't even think that's the biggest issue with the Covenant Legos.
Well, not even just Covenant Legos, but Legos in general. Like, because you're 18, 20 weeks into the expansion, and now you're still time-gated on an alt. Like, I want to do this, but I've got to wait till this world boss is up, or I got to wait till this Torghast is up to get the Lego, to get this character there. Well, we'll see as they roll out more changes. Maybe it's something, maybe it brings Torghast away from the Torghast type thing, so it won't be, I have to do this, maybe I want to do this, so... All right.
If they do something to change that, that'd be great.
And then with 9.1, we're going to get some new soul bindings and 40 more Renown ranks. Who's excited for this again? Like 2 a week for the next, whatever the math comes out to. Like,
I don't, like, people were freaking out over 40 more renowned levels. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I didn't think the first 40 were a big deal, and I think it's a nice way to kind of time gate flying, but then we'll all kind of get it at once. You know, like if we keep up with renown levels, like it'll all of a sudden be like, oh, we can fly. Goodness.
So
but
they updated the flying.
Oh, wait, no, what'd they do?
We're going to get it like week 1 of 9.1. Like, we're going to get
really?
It like around like 42 or something. We're going to get it
Just
really
kidding.
early.
It's not really time gated. It's just be patient, I guess.
But to go back to Hack's thing on the Covenants is, let's say you grind up and you get to 70, you get to 80 Renown, and then all of a sudden this Covenant, this Lego, this combo, we got to flip, and now I've got 80 Renown I got to grind in this brand new Covenant.
It's a lot of renown, but I can't even, I mean, you've had alts, like, they just pass out renown like candy, you know, for alts. It's just like I was, like, renown 35 on my alt, and I didn't even, like, it just happened. Like, I didn't even try for it. So, as long as they keep that.
Renown is that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it does much. I think it's very, once again, arbitrary, and just why. Already, like, you need to get to, like, Renown 34, I think, and that is the last power increase that you got in the set. So, like, the last 6, I didn't care. I don't think I'm Renown 40 on a single one of my characters, because I just don't care to.
Yeah. Yeah, once you unlock that last tier on your Soulbind, it's kind of like, cool. Whatever.
Like 2 tiers above that, you get a 2% stamina boost, and that was like, I might as well get that.
Right. Yeah, but Drew brought up a really good point. I'd much rather go for Renowned than work on rep grinding. Because that on alts sucks. I mean, it sucks on your main.
I think what Lynkz was pointing out, though, is it's just compounding on the issue we were talking about earlier, where Covenants already aren't balanced. They're never going to be balanced. So you're going to throw Covenant Legendaries into the mix now, and that's what you can't balance it. So why would you put another thing? But like, yeah, the 40 extra Renown, that's just going to compound on the issue of, oh, now because of this Legendary, this Covenant is better with this Soulbind and this all this convoluted bullshit. So now I need to switch this Covenant, and I'm Renown 0, and now there's 80 levels for me to catch up on, which isn't that big of a deal. It's the least of the issues, probably. But
I really think it's interesting.
More fuel to the fire.
Yeah. I think they really missed an opportunity. I like everything that they've introduced. I think the Covenant idea is really cool. I like the backpacks and the gear sets. I think the fact that they didn't just make your Covenant choice be a like, what is it when it doesn't affect your actual gameplay? It's just cosmetic. I think it just should have been all cosmetic. Now you still get a new ability, but maybe like you get to pick that ability, like the ideas that they had, right? But it's for that Covenant. So like if I pick Night Fae on my Druid, I still would have access. I could either pick Convoke or Kindred Spirits or whatever the other ones are, and just make it cosmetic. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Well, it's also so dumb, like, questing up, you're going through all of these Covenants, and you get the ability. Mm-hmm. You literally get every single ability back to back through the leveling process. So you're going to tell me that, oh, I have to lock one in, and you're just going to make this system where I have to stay locked in, and I don't know.
At first, when I heard, like when I was unlocking those, it crossed my mind that I thought when I was in that zone, I would have that ability. You know, because that kind of makes sense, right? But it would still cause issues. I get it. Like it would, like, you know, people would be more powerful in certain zones. But at least it would be kind of the same for the class as a whole. Like, you know, depending on where you were, that's the ability you were tethered to. It was an idea.
Fair. So, along with this, like, I guess, Renown grind, what's your thought on the Anima grind? Everybody loves it, right? Like, you enjoy going on World Quest, getting 35 Anima towards your 35,000.
What Anima?
I know what I was going to say. I don't grind Anima.
What, nobody else
Anima grind for what?
Yeah, for what?
Have you not seen the 35,000 armor that Night Fae has? The white, like, color?
So for cosmetic reasons, like that's fine.
Yes.
But yeah, that's just cosmetic reasons.
Well, and then what's the other stuff? You're unlocking your AC. What is it? Your Anima controller or what do you unlock in your little capital?
You talk about the transporter?
There's the 4 different things you upgrade in your Covenant thing. Like
I don't do those.
None of those.
Yeah, I think the transporter is the only one that's kind of cool to unlock.
You guys don't do your table. You don't do all your dailies. You don't.
Why?
What? Is this just the world that I live in? Like nobody else.
Why would I?
It's not required. If something valuable came from it, I'd make it a priority. But honestly, no.
I don't enjoy it, and I don't get benefit from doing it, so I just don't do it.
It's on the same tier as doing dailies in the Maw. Like, it's just not happening.
You guys don't do that every day either?
Get out of here. No way. I haven't done it in like since launch.
So that actually, you do get power from. You do get power gain.
You get the slots, right?
I'd be more, and I still don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that either. Like.
Man, so we're gonna show you guys how awkward it is that I do these dailies on the regular, because I even like have a calendar that I mark in color code based on like what I do. So like as I knock them off, like I mark and highlight like this is last month of my craziness.
Wow.
That's legit. I mean,
no,
cool.
it's a crazy OCD thing. Like this is the crazy guy that makes sure like if you run multiple alts, I do everything and mark it off. So
Oh
But-
gosh.
I mean,
More
you're an
power to you,
organized
dude.
guy, and that's really cool. But do you think you're at a level that's much greater than the people who aren't doing that?
No.
See, so it's kind of like, I mean, how valuable is it? I mean, the gem slots is nice, and I can see why, especially if you're min maxing, how valuable that is. But I don't know. I haven't done that. Terrible.
I'm trying to unlock everything. I actually do all that stuff, but that's because there are, again, pets and mounts that you can get from unlocking your anima conductor and unlocking your...
Exactly.
Your,
You enjoy that content. You want the
yeah.
reward.
At least a
It's-
reward, yeah.
Yeah, that's a carrot for you to chase that you enjoy, and that's cool. But if
I
you
don't
just
really-
care about like raid progression or mythic, I don't give a shit about
Enjoy is a
that. It
strong
doesn't.
word.
Right, but you want
It's a
the
terrible system. There's not enough anima in the game. They should make it so that even if you don't enjoy the content, like even if it's not what you're going for, that you can still unlock it. You shouldn't have to grind out anima like you do right now. It's pretty bad. But I hear that they're increasing anima drops or something like that in 9.1, so maybe
Yeah.
that'll make it easier
So
to knock all that stuff out. But the fact that I have to go through and level all of these things for every covenant individually so I can get all the pets and all the mounts, and then half the pets don't even work. The covenant specific pets don't work for the other covenants. It's just kind of stupid.
yeah.
It would make sense after Castle Nathria for a ton of anima to be released into the world, right? Like, we should have more access to it. Like, lore-wise, it should make sense, right? Like, did you see the vials behind, and Nerva and everything? Like, those are just, that's hoarded anima. Like, we should be able to get some of that.
So as you said, anima raining down, I could think of that GIF where you're just like anima raining down around you.
Please give me the anima.
So what all the anima talk led into is they were actually implementing something right now where the three things you upgrade in your covenant ability, like once you get everything to level 1, you now get double anima tokens from the green and blue quests. So if you get a 35 token, you get now 70 for it. If you get everything to rank 3, you're now getting 3 tokens. So instead of the 35 to 70, now you're getting 105 for it. And then when 9.1 drops, when you get to rank 42, it's now going to scale up again, where you get twice as much. And when you get to around 58, it's going to scale up. So now instead of getting 35, you're potentially getting like 200 some anima. So they have helped a little bit to that pain point of the anima farm, because like
Well, it's also, think about it, maybe they don't want you to be able to get it all in the first patch of the expansion.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, that is a thought.
Right, and then there's people that are talking about that theory craft too on that side of it, is why do it now when I can just wait till a patch later they're going to do a catch-up mechanic, and what's going to take me 80 man hours will now take me 5 man hours to do it if I just wait on it. So
And that just, it kind of goes with different type of play styles and different type of people, which I think is fine. Like, the catch-up mechanics never bothered me. I always went up with, like, if something was a challenge to get at the beginning, if it was valuable for raid progression or something like that, or Mythic Plus, then I found it worth it to grind, whether it's just time or whatever, to do it. But then other than that, waiting.
right, and so chat brings up a good point. So what if they do it like the what was the titanium residuum, where it's like, hey, you've got all this left over, here's your 30 copper. What if they
Oh, that was awful. Yeah.
I mean, they've
That-
literally always done that, though, for, like, Honor
Mhm.
and Valor and Conquest. So if it's, if it's a game system resource, they're going to do that.
Yeah, because they just
I don't think
eliminate
they
it.
would. I don't think that they would reset anima, but
I mean, at the end of Shadowlands, sure, like just get rid of it like they did with the other stuff. But
probably not, because there's still cosmetic shit.
oh, that's a good
Probably
point.
Still be able to go out to Shadowlands and get.
Yeah, they might
out
keep
anima.
that as a currency. Yeah,
I don't know, to Shadowlands. and
good point.
get
Yeah, they might
out
keep
anima.
that as a currency. Yeah.
But yeah, the new Soulbinds.
So did you look at any of these yet? I didn't go through them all because there were so many of them. But we get a couple more
There's a lot.
rows. We get some extra soul binds we can plug in. So that's gonna.
And that soulbind that's gonna make or break whether or not you're in the right covenant, right? So cool.
So I like the idea of like more conduit slots. That's cool and all. But the things that they're adding at the end of the tree, it's just these guys are like super buffed trinkets. Like your soulbind is basically just a stat stick.
Well,
Let me see.
there's a lot of passive gimmicky stuff
Yeah.
now being placed into this game. Like you had the seed that came out. You've got different druid ones where you drop below so much health, automatically friends your regen. Like now they're adding another one to Night Fae where you fall below 50 health, 20% of your health instantly, like, or over this much time. So like they're adding so many different passive gimmicky things to the game where it's the player doesn't actually have to do it, it's just going to happen. So like from a PvP side of things, it's, well, I gotta get them, I gotta watch for all these active abilities they can use, and then I also have to trigger all these passive things for them to use. So there's so many different things going on now in the game, like not even active.
Yeah, like there's a soulbind for Mechanicos for Kyrian specifically that it's like a AoE damage proc that also every time it procs it reduces the cooldown of your Kyrian ability. So like using this with Divine Toll, like my Divine Toll is basically going to be a 40-second cooldown all the time instead of a minute. Like just with this one soulbind trait at the end of his soulbind.
You said Mechanicos? It's Owl?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the effusive anima accelerator, I think. It reduces the cooldown of your Kyrian ability.
Reduces the Spirit Bastion. Okay, so this is for...
But there's a couple that are like that. And I'm sure like a lot of this is there's gonna be buffs, nerfs. Some are gonna get scrapped, new ones are gonna be added, whatever. But the Soulbinds, it's just one of those things, like, it's not really that exciting. It's just more passive shit.
It's like something you need a third tab for to go look up what you're supposed to do, and then you just go fill it all in.
It's just gonna make it's just gonna make the Sims work harder, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not interesting in as far as gameplay goes,
Mm-hmm. No, that's why I think I didn't get to play all of Legion, but I think that was one of the things that was really nice was just, so instead of like locking legendaries like we're talking about, you unlock different appearances for your weapon, and then within that you got to like change it and do all these things, and that's what made you unique and original, and the individual player enjoyed that, and they could just do whatever they want instead of, hey, I have to look this up to pick the correct thing. Doesn't affect anything,
You see, like, the way people talk about the Mage Tower, which literally gave you no player power reward at all. It was just a challenging thing with a badass
appearance. Right?
It's cosmetic.
Yeah, and I'm still bummed I missed out on that.
Badass cosmetic, and people ate that shit up.
In fact, like, people started leveling alt just to unlock it for a class they might play in the future. And still, like, I'll be in a group and I'm like, where the heck did they get that druid for? And they're like, from the Mage Tower. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad I missed that. I wish they would do something like that again.
Which is what people were thinking Torghast was going to be. And it just really missed the mark. People thought Torghast was supposed to be Mage Tower 2.0.
Yep. So Mage Tower is where Year of the Bear came from, because they added the Donkey Kong bear, and I leveled a druid just for that.
Donkey Kong bear.
That's 100% where I went to the druid life, went to the bear life, is when I got in Donkey Kong bear, the bear that skipped leg day, like, well well done, Blizzard. Like, I wasn't gonna miss out on that form. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good deal. So a lot of anima things to come. Soulbinds, Renowns, 8.1's got a lot of stuff coming into it. So let's jump into this. Like, what's going to happen here in 9.1 with pet battles and all this like new pet stuff that's coming out. I'm gonna have Merlock kind of take the reins on what to look forward to as a pet battle expert in 9.1.
So I think that the number one thing that is going to really help people out is the cap is being removed on how many pets you can actually own. The only hard limit now is going to be 3 pets of each type of pet, but you no longer have to jump through hoops to get up to the 2,000 mark and then have to shuffle pets and put them in cages when you start exceeding that level of pets owned. I think that's probably going to be the best one. There's going to be an additional, I think, 46 new pets that are going to be coming out in 9.1. Some of them are going to be just your everyday run-of-the-mill catch pets, but it looks like some of them are also going to be tied to raid bosses, that sort of thing. If you have been collecting pet charms for a really long time, running your dailies every single day, grinding them out, there's going to be a new 10,000 charm pet. Doesn't really look like it's got anything special right now, so people are kind of complaining about it. It's kind of just a yellow and purple slime thing. Doesn't really have any kind of special moves or anything that is making it unique. So based on that feedback, I think Blizzard's actually looking into changing like the pet special that this particular pet does, because it's such a pain to get 10,000 charms to get it.
I was about to say, especially not worth what you're going to buy it for.
Yeah, the other worms are actually available for gray loot. So if you look at like what we got on the screen there, the purple one, these other ones, they've got these really cool colorations on them, and you can get those for gray items. It's for trash items that people just normally vendor. So if you've been stacking up, large slimy bones, rotting bear carcasses, and very unlucky rocks in your bank, you're going to be able to trade these in to get the other bobble worms.
Have they ever done that in the game where like this trash is actually useful?
No, not that I've ever seen. How
is the community not freaking out over that? Because like literally when you open up a sell tab, like those items are just like they have like they're like they autos, or they have like the little gold icon on them, so you just sell them because that means in Blizzard's or in WoW's world that they're not used for anything.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. I want to see what the whole thing is behind that. And then as far as like any kind of ability adjustments or anything like that I've heard about for patch 9.1, there's 2 pet abilities that are limited to very specific pets. One of them is Explosive Brew, and the other one is Sticky Grenade. And both of these they've been nerfed pretty hard. Both of them used to be that the damage could not be dodged, blocked, or avoided at all. So once you used it, it was gonna hit. So they've removed that, but then they also increase the damage that each one of those abilities does. So they can be avoided now, but if they do hit you, they're going to do a lot more damage. It's going to be interesting to see how that changes in PvP.
Oh man. Okay, so that's that next level of ability stuff in there with the actual pet battles.
Yeah. Those 2 moves were really annoying in PvP because you can do things to mitigate and dodge damage, but those 2 particular moves you couldn't do anything about. If somebody used them on you, that was it. They were going to hit you regardless.
Kind of removes any outplay potential.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it. If you guys remember, they announced it a little bit earlier. I don't know when they announced it exactly, but they announced one of the pets is going to be Thermoplug Mecha Engineer from Nomergon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you can get a little gnome battle pet. He doesn't really have any kind of special stuff, but he looks like a little gnome Lich King.
Yeah, he like looks like one of the moss-worn things.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the really cool pets that they have there. That's going to be a lot of really fun stuff for pets in this 9.1 patch.
So did they go Covenant specific on things with pet battles too? Like the let's say Night Fae's got the little unicorn. Does that unicorn have a special ability that's like a Night Fae ability, or they didn't go that convoluted on pet battles?
So last I haven't actually done very much with the Night Fae Covenant pets because they're all broken, and when you put them into your team, they can't do anything. At least last I saw. I don't know if they fixed that or not, but it used to be that if you put one of those pets in your team, that it would just sit there. It couldn't do anything. Yeah. So that's one of the things that just annoyed me was them putting locks and locking down the Covenant pets so hard that they're broken in the battles.
Well, good job.
I'll have to go back and test it. I'll let you guys know next week if Covenant specific pets work. There's no super powerful moves that are tied to the Covenant pets as far as I'm aware.
Okay, so the unicorn doesn't have a convoke. Like that's what I was wondering.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Like there's still those really super powerful pets that are out there, or really crazy combination of pets that are out there. Like I found an undead combination that I've been using a lot in PvP, and but nothing is tied specifically to covenants.
Okay, good deal.
I really like the visual image I got in my head from a unicorn like casting a whole bunch of things with Convoke. Very good.
Just shaking its head. Yeah.
Have you seen that unicorn pet? Like it.
Go on.
So like the unicorn pet, like Bay got it, and if you click on it.
Oh, the noise! I'm the one that pointed that out. It's terrifying.
Right.
It makes this like demonic like sound. Yeah. I was
See,
like, what is going on with that thing?
And now see him convoking out of his unicorn horn, making that sound like
mini demon. It's fine.
You know what? That's.
I kind of wonder if it has the same pet same pet sound that Ball does. The Ball pet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about our community member.
There's actually a Ball pet that kind of looks very similar to the unicorn model, so I'm wondering if they got lazy and repurposed
So when you say
that sound.
ball, we're not talking like a football. We're talking about like that little horse thing, right? Like
Yeah, it's a little demonic goat pet.
Oh, Baal or something like that, right? Like it's Baal. Like it has.
Ball.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That one is actually demonic horse.
Yeah. So
I might have. That's a good point.
I'll go log in and I'm gonna check because I know I have some of the unicorn pets. So I'm gonna go check that model and see if the sound is the same.
I think you figured it out. I bet you anything that's what they did.
Just copied that sound. Like that's...
They just copied everything and just did a skin on it.
Yeah, reskinned it.
Yeah.
So the sound guy's like, this is what all horses sound like. We're just gonna click it. Horses, goats, like this.
It's fine. Don't worry about the sound clip. Yeah.
Like he was not good at that old McDonald's song growing up, so he's just kind of not pairing well. All right, well he checks that out. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes here, the raid. So cutting edge count is up to 3. No, it's up to 783. I read that backwards because I'm dyslexic. So 783. It's up 78 more this week from the prior week. Last week made the jump of 67. So as you're still out there raiding, still pushing for that cutting edge, best of luck to you. I guess it's getting easier. They're slowly making a little bit of nerfs and tweaks, so hopefully you'll check that box off before the end of the tier. You only have like 5 months left, so I hope you can get it in with this deadline coming up right around the corner. And then we have the special guest here, Miss HealtoDeath, who is Might's raid leader. She had some other titles, but I didn't write them down. So, but not the co-raid leader, not the joint raid leader. She's the raid leader, and then Mr. Hakkd is her assistant, kind of like a secretary to raid leader. I think. Is how she broke it down,
Assistant to the assistant raid leader.
Thank you. No, it's pretty much a co-raid lead, honestly. But yeah.
Well, so kind of want to break into this for people that understand like what a raid leader actually does, or their job, duty, titles. Like, what's the TLDR of like what you do? Like, what's a raid leader in WoW do?
They have to do all the research before a new fight, you know, to know what to expect. They need to somehow pass on information to the raid while keeping their attention span. And then I think actual call-outs during a fight is really important. And then there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that a raid leader has to do that I think a lot of people don't think about. Like rules or promotions or drama, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I always hated all the behind-the-scenes stuff because that's the hard part.
Yeah.
So you're the one that makes the rules, like no swap blaster in raid, and like you get to be the one that does stuff like that.
So where the rules come from is I think a raid leader really has to, you almost kind of have to protect yourself and the officers to prevent drama without like having a, okay, so like if somebody's upset about something, you have to have a reason why that's something we do. Like, for instance, if we require a certain item level, you know, and we require it to be this item level, and then somebody's upset because they can't bring an alt, and you're getting whispered, it's much easier to go, hey, we have these rules set up. The reason we have these rules set up is to prevent carrying individuals, you know, because then that brings a whole raid down, and, you know, it's just not fair. Like, if you have that set up, you kind of prevent drama to spread, and that kind of thing I think is really important. So having rules makes it seem like, oh my gosh, they're so strict, but it's actually super important for your entire like officer group to be on the same page and to give the same information.
Okay, so proactive to avoid drama, like we're
Yeah.
in ways to avoid the situation.
So for instance, with the swap blaster, I'm getting messages saying this is actually super annoying, and I'm like, okay, we need to put out this fire. Let me just bring this down a notch, you know. And so stuff like that, it's, you know, you just kind of have to stop anything from spreading, I guess.
Right, and I do appreciate how you guys do things kind of in stages, like, because it wasn't just no swap blaster at first. It was no swap blaster if somebody has the raid buffs. So like, it was making sense not to waste money or waste stuff like that. But then when people find ways to skirt those rules and are looking for the opportunities, you've got to make a little more aggressive rules where it's just not whatsoever. So.
I love how all of our raid rules, that's the one we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Are there other ones? Like, I guess that's the only one. Like, I had to put a post-it up that said, don't do this. So.
Like, that's the one in bold at the top, right? You know, don't use a swap blaster in raid.
Right.
And when I gave him the reason, you could just have a, you know, what is it? Like, you could put a glyph in or something, so that can't happen to you. That wasn't a good answer, apparently. They didn't like that.
Yeah, there's a neural inhibitor or some shit like that.
But see, then that person could die on Danny because they couldn't get gripped. So.
Oh man, it stops that too, huh?
It does stop grip.
That'll teach you to try and prevent that. All right, so this is, I guess you've been raid leader for a while, right? It's kind of been since Might's been formed for the last year.
Sure, you know, yeah. So initially I took it on at the beginning. It was at the end of BFA though, so it was just for Nyalotha. Don't know which one it is. Nyalotha. All right. So, and I was very new to it. So finding somebody like Hakkd in the guild who had done this before and was totally chill about it, and he's very good about talking to people and teaching people things, was the most valuable thing I have ever gotten in game, probably, is a person like Hakkd to help.
No, yeah, and definitely when we started out, it was a whole lot of, at the end of the night, like, hey, Cat, jump up with me. And it's just a whole lot of, hey, so like if this happens, try to like we want to be more like this to hit this on the head or whatever.
And we still do that. Like it's definitely not as frequent.
We definitely.
Yeah. But Hakkd and I, like, again, behind the scenes, like initially, like I made a ton of mistakes. I didn't know, like we didn't have the rules set up. We didn't have like the promotion where we do ready for raider. And so we'd have to like sit people at the end of the night because we couldn't get bosses down because our DPS was too low or whatever. And I hated that. I didn't like that setup. It made people feel really bad. So it's totally one of those things where you learn something each night even, and you just kind of build on that.
And especially like everybody else struggling and getting annoyed that we have alts in there from people who like aren't putting in the effort on those alts. So that's where the system came from with the like basically the farm raid night is a log night for the ready for raiders to have logs put up for us to look at and decide, check out like, hey, are you going to hold us back? Hold all the other people back in this to kill the last couple of bosses? No? All right, cool. Come on along.
And I think one of the things that have made us, in my opinion, really successful is we don't want anybody to not come with us. We want everybody who wants to be there to be there. So if they're not on paper or visually ready, if they keep making mistakes, we're not like, you're not, sorry, you're just not that type of player. You can't join us. We have so many things in place, specifically Hakkd, like who's literally somebody that's just like, we'll sit down with you and go over I don't know any other guild that offers that or has somebody that can do that. They can like talk you through your rotation or just boss mechanics or whatever, because we want you to be there. So I think that's what helps us and doesn't, again, avoids a lot of drama, is we have all these steps in place to allow people to do what they want to do raid-wise.
Nice. Yeah, it makes it inclusive. So it's not just like, this guild's like too hardcore for me. It's
right.
They're friendly and open.
Yeah, I can, as a non-hardcore player, I can tell you that being in other guilds, I definitely did feel that it was kind of more like what clique you were in that would get you into the raid, not so much the effort that you put into your character. And I don't really feel like that's the way that Might does it. So that's really kind of refreshing. If I'm not doing well, Hakkd will tell me that I'm not doing well, show me how I can improve, expect me to improve, and then I can go further with the raid. It's up to me to actually put in the effort, though.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's really important as a guild, is to kind of go back to your base. Like, okay, well, what do we want from the guild? What are we about? Like, what are our ideas? Because I think this is why we failed so much with becoming a Mythic raiding guild. And it's not that we failed, it's just I don't think that's our style. Because when you all of a sudden limit it to 20 people, but our entire guild is based off of being inclusive, or, we're not super hardcore and we're not impatient. Mythic raiding just doesn't fit with our style. It just doesn't, So, but everybody seems to be okay with it because that's not our core idea.
All right.
Yeah, I don't even think, I think a lot of the reason to why I think there's a taboo around Mythic raiding that a lot of people look at where, if you're doing Mythic, you're pushing. It's hardcore. It's at this point in a tier, it's not.
Right.
And I think it still gets viewed that way, which is where a lot of the disinterest comes from.
Well, it's the end, right? Like it's the most extreme raid you can do. So it will always have that idea of,
it's always
that's for professionals, right?
It's always going to have that idea around it. But no, a lot of it also is if we have 22 people, like, damn, we don't really want to raid without those 2 people. Like, we'd rather go do something else and just hang out with everybody. Like, hang out, shoot the shit, and kill a boss, right?
100%.
That's what we're there for. We're not there for, game progression. We're there to have fun with the rest of the people we're playing with. So if 25 people show up tonight, I want to hang out with those 25 people. I don't want to tell 5 people, hey, go fuck yourself.
Right.
I don't want to play with
Not that we say it that way anyways, but yeah.
Obviously, yeah. But no, I want to play with them, and I want to hang out with them and chill and have some laughs, and you just don't get that if you're not inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good deal. So with us being like an AOTC guild for the most part, like that's kind of the goal every tier. It's kind of clean up now. We've got that. We hit the goal. Now it's kind of just hang out time now each week. Looking back on like Castle Nyalotha, like are there takeaways? Like I tried.
What's Castle Nyalotha? Is that like a mix of Shadowlands and BFA?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Just making sure.
I don't know if you're familiar with this podcast, but I make up words and I say things weird. So
Castle Nathria.
There we go. Like, so what to say with this castle raid? So are there things you tried as a raid leader this tier that you did different? Are there things you felt didn't work? I guess what's kind of like your takeaways from this tier?
So one of the things I really liked, I think it's interesting too that you're interviewing me on this because pretty much everything I've learned is from Hakkd. I know I've talked him up a lot.
Again, he's not the co-raid leader. She's the raid leader. He's the assistant, the backup.
Well, honestly, like he's a character improvement officer, but maybe not just even like a character in game. Like as a person, he has improved, I think, my raid leading. But one of the things, and I thought this was really interesting. So initially when you start a boss, we try to be really specific about callouts during the raid, right? Because you can give people instruction before a boss, and all of a sudden, after about 45 seconds, you just lose attention more and more and more the more you talk, right? Doesn't matter who you are. Like I've experienced that. So we try to do the callouts during the raid, like actually during the fight. And sometimes, like if it's a new boss, they're really valuable. Like if we're doing Shriekwing and I'm like echolocation's out, cool, that's really helpful. But after you kill the boss 100 times, I would worry that if I say echolocation out anymore, I'm just gonna drive people nuts. But he brought up a really good point. Like we provided that warning for every time they killed this boss. So if I take that away, it would almost be like shutting off DBM, right? Yeah. Maybe they weren't even looking for that ability, but hearing me do that every time, like I have to stay consistent with it. And at first I thought I was being annoying, but then he's like, no, keep doing it because we already do it. And yeah. I think that was
if you
really
start saying something, you don't stop saying it because that's what you say now. And being a raid leader in a fight like that, that's basically part of your rotation during that fight, like, is to use your voice and call that out. And so the way you do your call outs on a rotation is not any different than you playing your character. So as a raid leader, when you're playing the game also, that's 100% part of it. It's part of your gameplay. And you should look at it that way.
Yeah, and in fact, sometimes I just got overwhelmed with healing maybe, and I didn't do a call out, and sure enough, like somebody didn't move, or somebody died to whatever mechanic because I didn't call it out, even though they've done it 1,000 times. And I was like, that was my fault because I wasn't able to call it out.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that sets people apart, is like a shitty raid leader versus a good raid leader is you saying, that's my fault. That's not their fault. They obviously did it. They stood in dumb shit and died, but I didn't call it out. That's on me. You put it on you. It doesn't matter who makes what mistake and why and what. Your raiders are making a mistake that's not being fixed. It's on you. Like, you take that, and obviously we do because, we decide what we need to do about it, and we reach out to the person and see what we need to do to fix it. Rather than just, hey, dipshit, quit doing this. Like,
which happens all the time in raid, right? Like, I've seen other raids where they literally just like, how can you stand in that? You've done this 1,000 times, Yeah.
And I mean, as a player, you're not going to be like, well, you didn't call it out, because that just makes you, like, it's definitely a thing, but you still get a lot of people that, oh, well, they shouldn't have died anyway because it's personal responsibility and we've done this over and over, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, but that means that they're listening to your voice. The idea of a good raid leader is that you don't have to watch timers. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything. you're just playing your character and you're focused on playing your character and doing damage, and you have one person thinking for the other 20 people in the group. That's the point. That's your job, mid-range.
And I guess I was seeing something helps too is if it's a mechanic that you're involved with, it makes it smoother in regards to the call outs. Like in regards to like a Sledge Fist, for example. You couldn't really have your tank be the raid leader on that fight because you're calling where the range is moving, you're saying, hey, we're moving here. The tank on the outside of the room couldn't really raid lead that fight there.
Well, I think another really important part of being a raid lead is a lot of the times what happens is as a raid lead, you kind of be like, my word goes. Like what I say, I know what I'm doing. I looked this up, you know, and I think it closes off a lot of doors to listen to other valuable information from people, and then also finding people in your raid that could be valuable for you. So sometimes I can't do something, and if Hakkd can do it, perfect. But if he can't, I'll actually recruit somebody else that I trust that's in that position to help, you know. And even with for instance, when we were stuck on Blood Council, right? It was Lynkz. You actually were like, you know what? You just privately messaged me, you know, you're like, for this fight, can I recommend doing it in this order instead? And I think that some people would have taken that and been like, no, we're doing it this way. This is the way I planned for it. This is what's happening. But Hakkd and I, we got that and we're like, yeah, let's give that a try. And, you know, because your input's valuable. And sure enough, that's still how we killed the boss today, is because it just worked so flawlessly. So
it worked for our group, right?
So listening to people.
Being able to listen to people and take what you need to take from it. Because, I mean, there's also nothing wrong with, hey, you know, I hear that idea. Let's still try this, you know.
And we've done that
too. Works,
too.
but I still think, I mean, it happens, but at least take the time and the thought to think about what they say and listen to them. Because most people that we play with, their input's going to be valuable.
Yeah, because I many times just in this raid, Lynkz, Cheat, Strumpy, there's been so many people where now the way we farm that boss is because of their input, and it worked out beautifully.
Yeah, just one little idea shakes up, and you're like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and they have different perspectives too, right?
Exactly.
So it works.
Nice. All right, good deal. So, all in all, 9.1 successful. We didn't have much drama, a couple swap faster things here and there, but for the most part, we got AOTC down, consistently going back through, knocking it out. One of the things I feel like was pivotal was when Hakkd pulled us into the board meeting and went over that first quarter projections of how we're going to kill Donnie. I think in the future, if we hit a wall, having that visual, because I'll be honest, if you would have sat there and talked to me for 3 minutes about this is what we're doing, I wouldn't have really cared. I would have just been watching Netflix. But since you brought a visual so I could engage my brain and see what you're talking about instead of trying to imagine these little dots you were talking about, I feel like that was one of the biggest takeaways from this raid here is if we're at a wall, having that visual PowerPoint presentation to go over of here's how it's going to work was great.
He put so much work into that too. And that's the first time I think we've really hit a wall, right? As Might.
Yes and no. I think definitely with the core that we have now, because let's say N'Zoth was kind of a wall, but it was probably only 2 weeks. So I definitely think this was the biggest wall. This was 4 weeks, you know, of raids with no kill. So it was all right, fuck this shit, we're getting this, you know. But no, after showing the visuals to everybody, actually watching back through that, everybody did it exactly how I had it drawn, perfectly. Even the placements of the 2 sets like they were perfectly placed. It was so weird to watch it. I'm like, this is like perfectly in the pizza how I have it drawn on this. Like, this is fucking weird. It was perfectly how I had it drawn. So
we one-shotted it after we looked at that, right? Like, wasn't the attempt after that done?
Yeah. Well, it was the first pull of the night. We like got there, pulled it up, hey, this, that, and boom, one-shot it. Like, we only raided for like 15 minutes that night.
Well, and that's definitely something I think I've learned during this whole thing is there's a few people that play WoW and they're just on top of every change, every update. Like they're like a wiki, right? They could tell you what every boss mechanic is and the percent it does of damage. But that doesn't necessarily mean, like, just like a teacher, right? That doesn't necessarily mean they'd be great at leading, because I think some people have a very hard time understanding that somebody else doesn't understand. Yeah. You know, like it comes easy for them.
Their input is valuable.
Absolutely. Sure. 100%. But then to break it down, in a way where other people will learn, just like a teacher, right? Like there's different learning styles. And that's where Hakkd really, went up, so beyond anything else I've seen. It broke it down. So like some people did get it, but like the few people who didn't, that visual made it so 100% of us got it right there.
Well, and that's also a fight where, like, yeah, even the people that get it, they might not get it the way we're gonna do it, right? Like, we need everybody on the same page because the placements matter, the positioning matters, everything on that fucking, especially that phase, like, it matters. You need to do it correctly or it's just gonna be a shit show. It's very punishing mechanics on that boss. So just getting everybody on the same page. And honestly, so I wouldn't even ever do that. This kind of goes into what you were talking about earlier, like droning on for 45 plus seconds about this boss, blah blah blah. I would never do that if it's not something that, like, look, everybody knows we've done this fight enough, we've seen this phase just enough times to where, like, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about when I point these things out, because we've done the fight, you've seen it, you've played it, so now we're going to iterate on it further, which I think is always the way you kind of handle progression. It's like, hey, so we've got this new boss, he's got 5 mechanics, I'm going to explain the 3 big ones real quick, do this with this one, and fuck off for this one. Let's give it a pull and try. And then you're like, oh, okay, I see. So you got, hey, let's shift this around, let's do this for this mechanic and take it here. And you iterate on it until you find your kill, like. So. Yeah.
And I think my all-time favorite advice that Hakkd's ever given me, and I'm still working on it because every once in a while I'll still get out of the zone. But and he brought this up way at the beginning. But just to not sound so panicky, freak out, just be more chill over comms, because, and it's 100% true. When the raid leader or your callouts are like freaking out or panicking, all of a sudden everybody else starts freaking out, or they'll hit a cooldown, or they'll hit a defensive and maybe they didn't need it, and they do. So like Hakkd's callouts during that phase 3 of Sire to Nathria's fight, where it's very chill, like, hey, especially like parts where it's like, I just need you to stay alive here, soak when you can, like, I can do that. But when you visually see it, like, it seems chaotic and crazy, but if you're like, nope, I just need to focus on staying alive, oh cool, I'll dip into that pool for a second. So much more easy to do that without somebody going soak, like freaking out at you.
You got, all right, just don't die, soak when you can. Just don't die, soak when you can. Rather than, hey, don't die to massacre, soak, shit, we need these soak, soak. Yeah.
It's a completely, it keeps your raid in a totally different mindset.
I think I actually remember the exact moment I pointed that out to you, and it's because I did it. On, what was the dragon in
Yep, Vexiona.
Vexiona. Yeah, it was very like move. Side, whatever, breath. And I'm like, I need to just chill. Move.
Yeah, because I think when you did that, I ended up tranking because I was like, something bad's gonna happen. And I like panicked. But yeah.
All right, good deal. Well, so anything else in the raid leader thing you guys want to throw out there for people that maybe are thinking about being a raid leader, don't want to ever be a raid leader, I guess. You know, to sum that kind of world up.
I think we talked about my favorite thing, or like, you know, some key points in order to be, in our opinion, a good raid leader. And just knowing that sometimes you'll mess up or you need to improve. And I think as long as you're like open with, like when I said, like, I messed up there or whatever, if you just let people know what page you're on and whatever, everything will go smoothly eventually, you know, keep building.
So I will say, I do like the shift from Nyalotha till now, where we've kind of finally locked it in, where like when Kat's talking, shut up. You know, like we've kind of gotten it to the point where Kat demands that respect when she speaks.
It took some tough love there. That was a little weird.
Did.
Yeah.
It was, there were a couple like, guys, shut up. Like, just chill for a second. Fuck. You know, where, you know, I don't want to tell you to shut the fuck up, but shut the fuck up. Like,
well, and
just,
that's something we put in the rules. Like specifically, I was like, while, you know, Hakkd or I are talking, or like a designated leader for that fight is talking, we need complete silence. But during trash pulls, you know, have fun, like go crazy, because we are here to have fun. But all of a sudden it stops being fun when you can't do anything because there's just too much water.
Well, and it kind of plays into like chill comms breed, like chill players, where, hey, if this mechanic's coming up and I'm about to call it at, hey, it's coming up in 3 seconds, and somebody that's not the raid leader comes in at 4 seconds and says, hey, we got this coming up. I'm like, yes. So now there's 2 of us talking. Nobody just fucking heard anything that either of us said because we talked over each other, and not me and you, but like just somebody else, because people know that if they hear our voice, hey, listen, because it's probably got something to do with what I should do in this fight in the next few seconds. Other people, I mean, their voice doesn't come across like that to everybody else because that's not the voice they listen to mid-fight. That's not the chill voice that they take instruction from in the heat of this fight. So I think that was a huge deal too.
All right. Well, from the rest of the Mike community, appreciate you guys for all the work you put in to get us this far. Like, it was smooth, and this was hardest raid we'd had in however long, because AOTC wasn't just a loot pinata this time. It took some work, it took some reps. It was a good raid. So, and we're talking about Castle Nyalotha for those that are listening. So Castle Nazoth,
Nathria, obviously.
Wrath of the Donny. So
the sex demon is Limit calls him. Dude, Limit Max came out with a video the other day, and he said he called him the sex demon Donnie. And I was laughing so fucking hard.
Oh man. Well, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for our raid topic. I think we had a good one there. So got a couple other ones, and I guess Merlock, you got something?
No.
I thought you just raised your hand, so
yeah, no. Sorry, I went to go pick something up.
All right, and then so knock out these little topics real quick, and we'll probably call it a wrap for the day. But yeah, this week's world event, it's kind of a boring week here in the world of WoW. All that we got this week is World Quest week, so pick that up, knock out some World Quests, get some anima, because everybody loves anima, and if you're trying to grind some rep for whatever weird reason you're grinding rep anymore in this expansion, you get some bonus rep from quest rewards there. And then we're going to knock out the clip of the week. So for the clips of the week, I need your help. Find me some clips, or it's going to be shit I just come across every week. So this clip, it's from Heal Stream. I may have edited it a little bit and made an adjustment just because that's something I find fun now, because it's like video photoshopping. So we're going to put Heal in the drawing, and we're also going to put Candor in the drawing because Candor contributed to it. So we're giving both in the drawing here for some merch. But let's flop over screens. Flip, flop, switch. Words. And I guess you want to explain kind of what happened here leading into this clip there, Heels? Let you kind of...
We were doing Torghast, as a group, because it's the best way to do Torghast, quite frankly. But Kendra and everybody keeps talking about you can unlock something so you can like travel up the chains instantly, which we don't have, because you probably have to do the Ma or something. So yeah, we were climbing up the chains in Torghast.
All right, so turn the volume up a little bit louder and see what happens here.
He gets, I don't know, like he oh no! I saw you just like the chain like put you on a weird angle and then you just like jumped off.
Let's go see that again just because I enjoyed that.
He gets, I don't know, like he oh no! I saw you just like.
All right, so thank you, ladies, for that clip. Like between.
I was just the cameraman. It's fine.
I've probably watched that like 4 times in a row. Just wah!
Well, it's so relatable because I know every single person here has done that at least once, right? That stupid chain has some weird like invisible wall that's like angled weird. I don't know. It messes you up. Right. So it's not Candace's fault.
Especially as a druid, because you're like, it's a long path. Let's use a movement ability, so you just get yourself off. So
no, I'm like terrified to do what is it? The steed? Like, because on my Draenei, it's the stupid elephant, and I'm like, it'll just fall right off. It'll just like. There's
a glyph for that.
I know. I have it on my other paladin. But
make it
all right. So again. Bring your clips. If you
I have a question about the clips.
Okay.
Did they have to be from that week?
No. Like
so any WoW clips that I want to show you, send them in.
So it's gotta be WoW related.
Okay.
Preferably like I guess not this week, but like don't grab one from 2016. Like
Right.
Recent.
And I have one that's a couple weeks old that I forgot to send in, and I'm like, darn it, that would have been a good one. But now telling me I can send it.
There we go. And then to get them to us, the Discord is in the YouTube description here. If you want, post it in the comments. There's a way you can get a hold of us. It'll all be posted all over YouTube. Come into the Discord. You'll find a way to get it to us. Show up live on a Sunday. Throw it in chat. We need your clips. Show us what you see in WoW. There's got to be something you found like fun this week.
Don't yell, show us your clips, okay?
Show us your clips. How does that not work?
Next t-shirt idea. Show us your clips.
Morning Wood podcast. That's perfect.
Wake up with Morning Wood. Show us them clips.
Yes.
Show us them clips.
All right. So again, thank you in advance for giving us those clips as you start posting in the comments now, because I feel like this is where we turn the corner, and I no longer have to fish for them. Because we all watch WoW, we watch streams, there's got to be funny stuff that happened, or even successful, like sad. Whatever you want to show us, let's see those clips.
Sag.
We need a clip of the demonic unicorn.
So, that's going to be my goal. I really want to make this unicorn convoke. So, like... This is gonna happen. Like this is gonna be.
All right, I'm excited for your video Photoshop, as you put it.
Right?
Yeah.
Video editing, whatever you want to call it. So.
You guys actually told me about something pet related. I didn't know that unicorn sound is messed up. It is not like the other one at all. It's all cute and fuzzy, and then you click on it, and it sounds like a demon.
All right, so that is a crazy little unicorn. So go on and get that, or watch. I'll put something together. We'll see that here in the next week or so. So PvP topic. There's going to be a lot to that. I'm going to pull a mulligan, and we're going to cover 9.1 PvP next week because we're already getting pretty far past this. So we'll save that for next week. So tune in next week. We're going to deep dive into some PvP. We do have a special guest on the show next week. we're just going to leave it at that. We're not going to tell you who it is, but there will be a special guest next week, so show up for that.
And then you need to tell us who was better, me or this other person. No, just kidding.
Oh, man. All right, so the gauntlet has been thrown.
Always a competition.
It's always a competition with this random guest that nobody knows about. So if you don't know who Heels is, you won't know who she competes with and who everything has to be a competition with. So, all right. Otherwise, I think we covered everything else. I guess we'll roll into final thoughts now. Merlock, what do you got for final thoughts this week?
Well, it is really dry time for everybody, I think, as far as content goes. But try to reach out to people and try to maybe cover some old content, do fun stuff. Don't drop out of the game. Don't drop out of participating in the guild. There's lots of stuff we have left to do as far as like guild achievements go. Let's get some old raids going. Let's get some old dungeons going and knock those all out.
All right, good deal. Good deal. Hakkd, what do you got for us?
Yeah, the only thing really keeping me in the game is PvP. I finally, after making that final vertical legendary, I'm just one-shotting people, and it is glorious. But yeah, just find something to do in the game, keep you busy, keep you around, so we can all hang out.
All right, good deal. And then Heels, if you want final thoughts, and also let the people know how they can find you, where to find you at on the daily.
Sure. So I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me on your podcast. It's awesome. You guys are awesome. And yeah, I just to kind of piggyback off of what Merlock said, we always try to stay active in Discord, with the guild, like with the community. So like, even if you guys are taking a mental break from WoW, even if you want to chill in Discord, a lot of times people are just hanging out in Discord if you want to chat. But yeah, hopefully we'll see a resurge when 9.1 comes out. And so you can find me usually just on Twitch. Twitch.tv/HealtoDeath. Nope, twitch.tv/HealtoDeath.
And we will put her in YouTube. If you're watching this, we'll have a link to her stream in the description. What days do you normally stream? You got a pretty set schedule, right?
Yeah, so I stream Monday through Friday from 9 to about 12:30 Mountain a.m. For anybody thinking I stream at midnight, I don't.
All right, there you go. So if you are tired of your job and you want to take a break,
yeah, that's usually
middle of the workday. None of us do that because if for us that watch, we are like honed in. We are full focus at work. We don't watch these streams. But those of you that have that weird job that lets you do crazy stuff, catch her live during the day. You can stream. She streams throughout the week. Great content, mostly WoW. Sometimes she does those weird games nobody likes, like Overwatch or whatever.
Wow.
And very important, it is safe for work. I can listen to it at work, and I don't have to worry about somebody hearing something absolutely crazy, like if I'm watching Pig at work.
I always have to put my headset on when I'm watching Ride My Pig because, I have a little one running around.
Yeah.
Love you, Ride.
All right, and there's a link to her stream in the Twitch for those of you watching live. Again, want to wrap up here the show. Appreciate HealtoDeath being on here with us. Appreciate all of you in chat that showed up live this morning. If you want to catch me live, we're here every Sunday morning, 8 a.m.-ish Central Time for some morning wood live stream. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 to 10 o'clock Central Time. Next couple weeks, we have a little bit of switch on where it's going to be streamed from. Watch for it being from potentially Moose or one of these other guys because I'm going to be on vacation, so I won't be on access to OBS. But we will have a link. I'll be hosting whoever it is, so you'll still be able to catch this live if you want. YouTube videos will be rolling around. Again, I want to appreciate everybody that stopped out and waking up for some morning wood this Sunday. We're out.